human! The clicking voice of the Vuvkut chancellor was heard with exasperation. He stood at an impressive 2 meters of height, unusually tall for his species. He possessed a thin bodily structure, all of it covered by a remarkably hardy exoskeleton. He stood on 4 legs for locomotion and had 2 long manipulators ending with 3 claw-like fingers. His face was conical, with lavish membranes falling from the back of his head glowing with bioluminescence in small patterns, to indicate his emotions given his species' lack of facial expressions outside of blinking with their 5 eyes and opening their mouth. "Do you realize what you have done?" The 32-year-old human, a slightly shorter man dressed similarly as the Vuvkut in front of him with pristine green and yellow robes to indicate their status as chancellors, tilted his head to the side and raised an eyebrow. "Whatever do you mean, Laji? You never address anyone by their species name unless you're angry. What has happened?" "Don't play coy with me, Aaron," Laji replied, his membrane glowing with orange and blue to indicate his frustration and annoyance. "Why? Why have you humans done this to the League?" "Again, what has happened?" Aaron repeated, looking rather confused. "Why have you asked to see me in private, Laji? Have I or the United Systems done something to insult the League of Associated Empires?" Laji's membrane turned brighter and black seeped through its edges. "You know exactly what your people have done, Aaron." He chirped and clicked, the translator barely able to translate his words through his fuming anger. "Have you no respect for the law? Does your species have no sense of self-preservation and logic?" Frowning, Aaron's expression shifted from concern to a subtle form of contained anger. "Ah," he began. "I now understand what this is about," he said sternly, trying to sound as calm and collected as possible. "Why would it be a problem?" "Why would it be a problem?" Laji repeated before hissing, his species' version of a sigh. "We've tolerated the contact your species and the Koshi maintain." He slammed his manipulators on his desk. "But why would you initiate contact with the Zuf, the Joel, the Ferges, and the Quaoz?" he yelled, his membrane swirling with shifting colors. "And what's more, we found out the United Systems have established trade agreements with all of them." "Why?" he demanded. Sighing, Aaron leaned back on his seat. "Laji, tell me, how many species have joined the League?" "What does that have to do with how many?" Laji blinked with all of his eyes. 37. 37, Aaron nodded. "There are another 10 pre-FTL species currently under observation, and we, humanity, are the newcomers to the galactic stage." He looked deeply into Laji's eyes. "So tell me, Laji, why the League accepted us almost as soon we made official contact with you, but have refused all of our friends?" "Friends!" Laji lashed out. "You would dare call those things friends?" Aaron nodded. "Quite. And not just me, but humanity as a whole. I'd like an envoy from the League to visit Mars and see what the Koshi have done with the place. They even managed to mine out Phobos and Demios to provide Mars entirely," he smiled. "And in return, they allowed us into their home system, Tau Ceti, and we colonized the small atoll world of theirs. So yes, they are our friends, Laji." Laji's membrane turned red, brown, and a vibrant yellow to show his astonishment, dread, and exasperation. "You've allowed them to colonize one of the planets on your home system? Why would you something so foolish, human?" "Because, friendship aside, it is a mutually beneficial deal for both our species," Aaron explained. Silence fell in between the 2 chancellors for a few moments, until the human cleared his throat. "That's one thing I, my colleagues, and humanity as a whole have yet to fully determine. Why do you hate them so much?" "That you even have to ask is proof of your naivete, Aaron," Laji hissed. "They are monsters, an affront to the universal laws of life themselves." Aaron frowned. "If that is so, then we humans are too." "Of course not, Aaron. You humans may be strange, but you are certainly not anything like those horrid creatures, unnatural beings that should not exist." "And yet they do," Aaron countered with amusement, extending his arms. "They are alive. They are here. Despite the universal laws of life, the League determined, they exist and are alive. They think, they feel, and they do their best to live their lives. How are they different from you, me, and everyone else?" "They shouldn't exist," Laji retorted angrily. "But there's nothing we can do about it. All we can do is tolerate their vile, unnatural existence as the plague they are, keep them out of our systems, avoid interaction, and wait until the universe itself wipes them out," he replied with some regret. Perhaps outlawing war was a mistake, but war would only send the League back into the days of before. No one wants that. How incredible generous of the League to let others live just because it doesn't want to sully their hands, Aaron replied with dripping disgust, contempt, and anger. The Koshi, blessed be their cores, are the most friendly and empathic species we've ever encountered, and they were the ones that helped us when the Fergis tried to colonize Earth. It was all a big misunderstanding in the end, and the Koshi helped us to understand the hive mind of the Fergis. Before Laji could say anything, Aaron continued. I know what you were going to say, but the conflict was over before it began. Not a single casualty on any side, and the Fergis apologized for their mistake. Standing, he pressed on. The Fergis are a hive mind, the only sapient hive mind species known so far. The Koshi are a lithoid species that communicate through music. The Zoof are gaseous entities, he smirked. They have taken a liking to Jupiter, in fact. It's become their most popular resort, believe it or not. The Joel are the only plantoid species we know of. Their size may be imposing, but you'd be surprised how intelligent and sophisticated they are. Did you know they value philosophy over anything else? And, of course, the Quaoos. Who in their right mind would interact with a species that can literally tear you apart with a simple hug? It must be the cruelest irony to be the most pacifist and xenophilic species in the galaxy, and be shunned by most of the other species just of how they look and their biology. Aaron stopped, now standing at the other side of Laji's desk, the taller male realizing only now that the human had approached him. He smiled, showing his teeth and watching Laji recoil with some disgust. Finally, humanity, the only omnivore species, the first meat-eater species to achieve sapience. Why are we an exception and not they? We can understand your existence, and you fall well within the limits set by the universal laws of life, human, that you have mingled with those abominations, to openly trade with them, to let them enter Sol. It is something the League won't take kindly, not after we have extended our manipulators in friendship to humanity only to be repaid with such transgressions. Then we will be ready to face the consequences, Vovkut, Aaron replied, this time showing no emotion and remaining calm. To tell you the truth, I and my superiors back on Earth have been discussing the possibility of leaving the League. He smiled, seeing the red, right, silver, and white colors swirl on Laji's membrane. We share the League's belief that life is sacred, he turned to leave. Humanity has gone through many perils, Laji. I don't know if you'll ever come to understand that. We have come to not just value life, but to value all life. Aaron reached the doors of Laji's office and glanced back. Who knows? Maybe our new friends will be interested in forming an alliance with humanity and stand together? The doors opened and he stepped out. Have a good day. The doors closed.